Hi guys, I'm Dan at vintagevelo.org and today we are going to get out there and ride this epic 2012 Pinarello Dogma. Now this is an actual bike ridden by Sir Bradley Wiggins in the 2012 early season. We are talking Volta Catalonia, Criterium to Dauphine, Tour de Romandie, Paris-Nice. 3 of those races he won on this bike, or at least one of these bikes. This would have been one of his team bikes with Team Sky in that early 2012 season. For the Tour, he did change to a black frame because he didn't defend his British road race championship that he won the year before, but this is the early 2012 season bike. There's a few details like the seat post and things that you can tell as to what period it was when it was with Team Sky. I got this bike as a complete bike. And apart from the wheels, these have been swapped out, the actual original wheels on a different bike, but everything else on this bike is as per Sir Bradley Wiggins. And obviously it's an epic setup. 53 up front, he may well have had a 54 at times as well, but 53 up front and an 1125 on the back. Obviously it's a Dura Ace Shimano 10 speed throughout, and no, the crank hasn't started to delaminate and fall apart, so that hasn't failed. It's the early type of Di2. You've got the external big battery cage on here as well, but it all works fine. It's nothing up with it. Yes, take a moment to check out the epically cool super limited edition. They only made literally a handful of them, and this is the seat that Brad actually rode on this bike and at the Tour de France as well on the black bike. Because several of them are on-worn. That's the one he actually rode. I did speak to him to check that that was the case. So epically cool, everything on this bike. Now I did ride this as my regular bike for a couple of seasons because fortunately Bradley Wiggins is the same height as me, but it is a punishing bike to ride. It did take me at least one season to get used to that seat to bar drop angle and a lot of yoga as well. So apart from that, yeah, it is very, very cool. Obviously on here, we also have some Continental tubular tyres on here. I think these are GP4000s. They are tubulars and they are, I think, 21mm or maybe 22mm, but they are pretty skinny. But on the roads around here, bit of a challenge, but you know, technically it's meant to make it go faster. Who knows? Anyway, the sun's shining, the bike's about to fall over, so let's get out there and ride. So this is quite a contrast. A couple of weeks ago, we were out there in the Tuscan hills riding La Roica on that gorgeous 63 Legnano. Today we are out here on a Pinarello Dogma in the southeast of England. Although the sun's shining, Italy was 32 degrees, this is about 10 degrees, and my feet are numb. And I'm probably dribbling a little bit, because my mouth is numb as well, but we'll forgive that. But let's talk about the Dogma. Now, it's no secret, I love Pinarello Dogmas. I think they're incredibly good bikes. As I said before in the previous video, if you're looking at spending good money, anything over £1,000, go out and buy a Dogma. And these Think 2.1s, they're brilliant. Now, obviously, you know, for a vintage bike channel, it would be difficult talking about carbon, but I'm pretty sure we'll all agree the colourway on this, the red, white and blue scheme, does make the Dogma look really, really pretty. It's a great bike to look at, which is always important, you know, look good, feel good. I'm not an enormous fan of the matte black carbon, so this is great to see, with a slight glimmer of metallic in the blue as well. And we're going to kick this off with a few controversial things to say. First off, the Think 2.1, I think, is a better ride than an F8 or an F10. I've said it. Now by that, there's no doubt from the F8 onwards, they're faster bikes. Dogmas really went through it in the wind tunnel, and Pinarello kind of perfected them. They are really, really good. But these Think 2.1s, are just really lovely rides. They're only a tiny bit slower than the later models, but you know, if I was going out there on a 250km Gran Fondo and I had a choice between this 2.1 and an F10, I'd go with the 2.1. It's going to be a much more pleasant experience. It's a dream to ride despite these super skinny tyres and the road quality here in the southeast of England. It's just brilliant, and you could seriously eat up mileage very quickly. In fact, for the couple of seasons that I did ride this as one of my regular rides, I took a lot of kind of long distance 10-15km KOMs because it's such a pleasant bike to eat up the kilometers on. Really, really nice. It does everything perfectly, and as always with Dogma geometry, what goes up comes down again, and these are just a masterclass for descending geometry. Something else you may not agree with, but I think is true, is I actually prefer 10-speed Dura Ace Di2 to 11 and 12. I actually think it's better. I prefer the clinky clunkiness of it. It feels much more positive. Maybe it's because I do prefer mechanical, but for electronic shifting, I really like it. Plus, the parts don't seem to explode in the same way that 11 and 12 speed Dura Ace do like to, but that'll be a subject of another video. One thing I have realised about the setup of this Dogma is that the rear cassette is in fact an 1128, not 1126, which is why it climbs so well. So we're on a long, slow, draggy part of today's climbing ride, and a perfect opportunity to chat about Bradley Wiggins and this stunning Pinarello Dogma of his. Now, he's a very complicated character, Bradley Wiggins, far too complicated to really get into on a short ride like this. So I just want to focus on the incredible results of that 2012 year for Team Sky and Bradley Wiggins. Now, Team Sky itself, what you've got to remember at that point, the UK, we haven't won a Grand Tour. Ireland has. We haven't won anything like that. We've had notable results, but the Tour de France definitely has eluded us up until that point. And Dave Brailsford, when he, fan of the show there, Dave Brailsford, when he created Team Sky, he set out that rather lavish promise at the time, or at least it seemed that way, of winning the Tour de France within 5 years. Now he knew the only way he could do that was to get hold of Bradley Wiggins, which through a lot of negotiation with Garmin he did eventually do. And in that 2011, obviously Brad crashed out, broke his collarbone, but later in the season there we saw him come second, well sorry, third technically, but results second at the Vuelta a España, with Chris Froome technically taking the win after Kobo was disqualified for doping. And then we hit 2012. Now that is a seminal season for Wiggins. Now we're talking about a guy who's already won so much stuff, multiple Olympic golds, stage wins, all sorts, loads and loads of stuff. The guy is already a living legend at that point. And then obviously he wins Paris-Nice, that's a benchmark. He wins Tour of Romandie, woo, huge. Then he wins Criterium de Dauphine, that's a powerhouse right there. And Team Sky going into 2012 Tour de France with heir apparent on their backs. They're there to win. Now, you've got the pairing in charge of Brailsford and Sean Yates as Director Sportif, and their mission is to win. But it isn't quite as easy as that. Aside from the fact you've got the likes of Vincenzo Nibali there waiting to try and steal a win. You've got the complexities within the team. Now, Brailsford and Yates, they're on a mission. They're there to be the first British team ever to win the Tour de France with a British rider. That's it, absolute, that's the mission. But of course, that doesn't take into account individual rider passions and what they want and how they want to achieve on their palmares. Obviously, we've got the well-documented tete-a-tete between Wiggins and Froome. Incidentally, for those out there who wonder whether Froome could have won, whilst Froome undoubtedly was a better climber that year, there were an awful lot of time trial kilometres, individual time trial kilometres in that year's edition. And without a doubt, Wiggins was a far better time trialist. He won both of the main time trials and came second in the prologue. He would have put loads of time into Froome no matter what. And I think if Froome had been allowed to escape, especially on the Planche de Belleville, he probably would have taken a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe, but it wouldn't have been enough. Let's not forget, Wiggins was not a slouch at climbing at that point. He was a great climber. He wasn't an explosive climber, more of a Cadell Evans, you know. He just grind his way up, but he was no slouch, and he would have definitely won. But also, remember, for that year, they had Mark Cavendish in the roster as well. Now, it seems a bit strange when your ultimate goal for your team is to win the Tour de France, and then you rock up with the world's greatest sprinter in the team. Now, I think the reason why he got signed there, probably a little bit of a mistake, one of the few that Brailsford makes, but because in 2011 Brad crashed out with a broken collarbone, I think at that point Brailsford thought, I need a plan B. The plan B was sprinting with Cavendish when Cavendish's contract and HTC went down. And I think that's what he was thinking. He didn't realise at that point, the point that he signed Cav, that Froome was about to turn into a Grand Tour winning killing machine. But they didn't know that at the time, because Froome was still suffering with that bilirubin illness that he had from South Africa. So that's why you end up on a super team that's sole purpose is to win the Tour de France with the best time trialist in the world, riding with the best climber in the world and the best sprinter in the world, all fighting it out, all with their own missions, all with their own objectives. Hats off to Froome, to Wiggins, when they were going on that last Champs-Élysées stage. Obviously, Brailsford and in the car Yates as well were super keen for everyone to huddle around Brad, keep him safe, get the win, get it across the line. But, Cav raises his arm in the team bus. What about me? I want to sprint for it. And, it was down to Bradley Wiggins to say, yeah, Cav's right, we've got to help him. And it was incredible on that Champs-Élysées at the 2012 Tour to see the yellow jersey being worn by Bradley Wiggins, leading out Mark Cavendish on yet another win on the Champs-Élysées. A truly epic year, probably not to be repeated for some time for British cycling. So I mentioned earlier, what goes up has to come down, and I'm just on this little kicker going up at the moment, and there's a fantastic descent the other side of it, a little complex, and you have to be very aware of cars, but it's great fun. Here we go, just gonna get around a little roundabout first. Yeah, that's clear. Now we tuck fully and enjoy. So I'm just at the end of the ride now. No cafe stop today because, to be fair, I've completely misjudged my clothing and all my extremities have gone numb, and I want to get home and warm up. But that doesn't detract from this Pinarello Dogma, ridden by Bradley Wiggins in the 2012 season. It's a phenomenal bike. I just love it. I mean, yeah, I should probably be riding this every day. It's just exceptional as a road racing bike without compromising on quality of ride or comfort. It's a ride you could just, you know, a bike you could ride for hours on end without real fatigue or pain. It's lovely, and it's really, really fast and good at what it does. Weight wise, I think it's about 7.5 kilo. I'll pop it up on the screen now so you can see the weight of it. But you know, it's not too porky, despite the reputation that Dogmas have. Ignore that. They're not flyweights, but they're certainly not heavyweights. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go inside and warm up now, so do like and subscribe for anything that's cool to do with vintage bikes. Thanks a lot.